That's better. Hi guys, Shane here with Whelan Cameras, and today I'm going to talk about the Tamron 70-180 2.8. So technically the name for this lens is the Tamron 70-180 F2.8 Mark III DI VXD for Sony E-mount. So Tamron is a bit of a quirky company, and they often make these lenses that are just a little bit different to their competitors. Most of these lenses are going to be a 70-200. You got your Sonys, your Sigmas, your Canon, your Nikons, all those guys. They got 24-70 2.8, 70-200 2.8, and that is generally, I don't know, considered like standard across the board. You kind of wonder who comes up with these numbers first, but Tamron have decided to do something a little bit different. What they've done is they've taken 20mm off the long end and made it a 70-180. Now that means three things. That means it can be smaller, lighter, and cheaper. It weighs just 810 grams. It actually doesn't even have the tripod thread on the end, which most of these lenses will do. Most of the time these lenses are huge and the weight heavily goes forwards. In this instance, the weight is actually tilted back to this to the body here. Okay, so really actually simple to use, very, very light. Even when it's extended, it doesn't come out that much. I'll put all of the specs for this lens up here, and you can read all of the specs. I have them listed out. I don't want this to be a really spec heavy video. I kind of want it to be more, how does it feel? How does it use? So let's take it out for a spin. I'm going to go up to the canal, get some nice shots while the weather is good, and I'll see you guys there. The Tamron 70-180 performed beautifully while I was out. The autofocus was smooth and without any jitter or hunting. The colors were accurate and vibrant, and there were no weird aberrations or flare. At 2.8, the background was completely blurred and the lens had no problem in continuous autofocus. On manual focus, I was able to get in really close, though of course it was difficult to focus handheld. That said, I think this lens is a bit of a dark horse for close-ups, and it certainly made up for losing 20mm on the long end. Speaking of which, I did find myself noticing the max length of 180, but I think it was psychological more than anything else. In terms of shots, there wasn't anything that I wanted to get that this lens couldn't do, aside from some extreme wildlife shots, and of course, this is not the lens for that. Pushing this lens to an extreme shooting condition, I was able to get some green and purple flare, but this was actually really hard to do, and even when I shot into direct sun, I didn't notice anything that would put me off buying this lens. All in all, for the price point of this lens, I can't see what you're losing, aside from that 20mm on the long end. And at the end of the day, I got used to it pretty quick, and I don't think there was a single shot that I could have got with a 70-200 over this lens. Alright guys, so I'm out here at O'Brien's Park, just taking a little break for myself, and a little roundup I suppose of the Tamron lens. I really like it, I do really like it. It feels good, it's light, really, really light, easy to use. I actually like that the focus ring is back here. I just found, as I was using the camera, doing my bits and pieces, that the focus ring was, I didn't have to move my hand, I didn't have to move away from the camera. So I was handballing it a lot because, you know, I have this camera on this tripod and it's kind of awkward moving things around. So I was handballing this a lot, and I found having the focus ring just there was actually really, really useful. And it's something that I actually wish other camera companies would adopt. So +1 to Tamron for that. It's something that I thought I wouldn't be a fan of, just because again, I don't know, sometimes when something different is presented, you're like, no, I know the way things are, and I know my cameras, and I know my lenses, and I don't want anything to change, but it's good to be open to change. I think this lens is going to be really, really useful to a lot of photographers and even videographers. I actually really enjoyed it for video. Smooth focus, clean, no jitter, didn't notice any effects of being a Sony camera and a Tamron lens, didn't notice anything like that. Yeah, I mean, I was really blown away by just how much I didn't notice with it. You know, there was no weird quirks that I suddenly went, oh, that's a deal breaker. You know, no weird aberrations, weird flare, you know, chromatic aberrations, you know, that kind of purple fringing. There was really none of that unless I really, really pushed it and tried to get those things. So yeah, I think for most people, if you're, you know, a consumer who is interested in a versatile, light, cost-effective way of getting a short to medium telephoto experience, I would go for the Tamron, really. I mean, I think it's great. The only thing, if you want a camera or lens that is weather sealed, don't get this one. That's the only thing. If weather sealing is going to be your deal breaker, have a look at some of the others. But if that's not a concern for you, then go for this guy. Nice one. Thanks, guys.